Good evening, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. I'm down in the lower level. This is the library. Majority of my books are down here. And I come down here because my wife is upstairs and she's in the living room, sitting in her chair, falling asleep and reading. Usually it's here in West Michigan. It is August the 25th, 2023. It's 8:18. Usually my wife goes to bed about 9. I go to bed around 11 usually. So she reads and then she slowly goes to sleep. So I'm down here so I won't bother her. So what I want to do in this video, I made a video this morning called Friday Reads, and I read from my devotional books. But I've been reading today and last night Claudino Margres Journaling. I think I showed this book. It's one of my birthday books. I think I bought this just recently, and I've been reading him. And I read his book over here. I read his book just recently, his book. I really enjoyed this book. So then I bought this. I have other books by him, I think, somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's probably maybe upstairs. But I've been reading, this is like his travel writings. They're like, this is translated out of the Italian by Anne Mano Alpi. So, and then I got this book in the mail yesterday. It's a novel that I came across and it looked interesting. It's called The Forbidden Notebook by Abby de, I can't pronounce, she was an Italian-Cuban writer back in, I think she lived from 1911 to 1997. This was written in, I think this was first published in 1952. And it's translated by Anne Goldstein, Forbidden Notebook. I can't pronounce the name, but... So I've been reading this. I've read about 50 pages. I'm really enjoying it. These are Friday Reads, and I'm still reading A Radical History of the World by Neil Faulkner. Travelers of the World Revolution, A Global History of the Communist International by Bridget Stutter. And I've been History and Revolution, Refuting Revisionism, edited by Mike Hayes and Jim Wolfries. I was reading the first essay on the English Revolution, radicalism and revisionism in the English Revolution. So I've been reading that. And then I'm still reading A Story of Russia by Orlando Figes. And I'm still reading The World, A Family History of Humanity by Simon Sebag Montefiore. So these are what I've been reading this week and will be reading until next week. But I want to show you thrift store books I bought at thrift stores. I mentioned that we were going to go to a used book sale, a library used book sale in Hudsonville. We didn't go that Friday, but we went Saturday. Friday was last Friday. The weather was really bad, and we had a tree limb break on our backyard. Fell on the wires. They had to come out and restring the wires and cut down the branches. I think I mentioned that in the video. But Saturday we went to the sale. The library used book sale was Friday and Saturday, so we went Saturday. And I found a few things, and I thought I'd show them to you. I bought Sons of the Wilderness, John and William Conner, Charles N. Thompson. This is kind of like, it's a biography. It's more about early 19th century America. These brothers lived in Delaware. I don't know. It just looked interesting. It was bought at the Connor Perry Museum Shop, the Sons of the Wilderness, a Gill Press of Indiana and Company, Carmel, Indiana. So it's kind of like a thing you buy at a museum, but it was only 50 cents. And then I bought, what else I buy? Oh, let me see here. Well, I bought Propaganda by Edward Bernays. It's on on politics of propaganda. And then I bought at that library used book sale in Hudsonville, Secret History of the Atomic Bomb, Anthony K. Brown. These are edited by Anthony K. Brown and Charles B. McDonald. I collect books on the atom bomb, the hydrogen bomb, how the bomb, nuclear weapons and all that affects America, the world, culture, things like that. This is an old book. This one was published in 1977. So it's kind of dated, but it was only like, I don't know, I think it was like 50 cents. This was 50 cents. Adlai Stevenson and the World, A Life of Adlai Stevenson by John Barlow Martin. If you look at American politics, 50s, 60s, his name comes up. He ran for president, and you just come across his name. And I had a biography of him, and I dehauled it, but this one was only 50 cents, and so I got it. I like biographies, political biographies. And I came across a novel by Gloria Glennie. She writes primarily biographies, but she has written novels, and she wrote a biography on Edith Sitwell, Unicorn Among the Lions. She's written other biographies I have in my library. She wrote a biography on Rebecca West, A Life, Vida, The Life of Vida Saxville West, Elizabeth Bowen. And then I try to buy her novels if I see them, and this is called Grown Ups by her, Victoria Glennie. And so I got that, a novel. Let me see what else I have. What I got there. I don't remember where I got these, but they all came from thrift stores. I found Hellman and Hammett wrote those crime books. You remember his name? The Legendary Passion of Lillian Hellman and Dashiell Hamlet. I have Lillian Hellman's writings. She was a playwright, I think, primarily, and he wrote those famous crime novels, The Red Harvest by Hamlet, The Maltese Falcon, The Thin Man. She wrote plays, Hellman's, The Little Foxes, Watch on the Rhine. I have her memoirs, so I picked this up because I have their writings and I like biographies. I found this at a thrift store. It's a memoir, Fish Out of Water, A Search for the Meaning of Life by Eric Metaxas. He wrote a biography on Bonhoeffer that I have upstairs, but this is his memoirs. And I like memoirs, and it looked kind of interesting. I got this at the library used book sale in Hudsonville, Magic Seeds by SBS Nepal. I had this already. I didn't know it, but I collect his writings. I have an old paperback, but I found this by him. I found this at a thrift store in Hudsonville, The Map That Changed the World, William Smith and the Birth of Modern Geology by Simon Winchester. I thought I didn't have this, but I have almost all his books, but I wasn't sure if I had this one, and now I did have it, so I have to de-haul it somewhere. Also, I picked up a novel by Mary Gordon, who I collect, Men and Angels, and I had this already in my Mary Gordon collection, but I wasn't sure, so now I gotta get rid of it. I also had this, and I bought it at a thrift store, City of Secrets, a novel by Stewart Anand. I also had this, I wasn't sure. To me, when I buy a book at a thrift store, the money goes to the poor. It goes to help people who need education, get job training, or different assistance to people in the community. So I don't look at the money as a waste. But I had this already. I have a huge Stewart Anand collection. So I also found this at the library used book sale in Hudsonville, Crossing Over Where Art and Science Meet by Stephen J. Gould, who I collect his writings. But this is also with art. It's science, Where Art and Science Meet, Stephen J. Gould and Rosamond Wolff Purcell. And the text is by Stephen J. Gould, and then the art is selected by, I assume, Rosamond Wolff Purcell. Yeah, it has things like that. Just different. It was really cheap, and it wasn't even, I think, $1, maybe 50 cents. But I collect Stephen J. Gould, so that's why I got it for my Stephen J. Gould collection. And then I got this at the local Goodwill, The Dogs of March, a novel by Ernest Hebret. I never heard of him, but the novel looked really interesting, and it was published in 1979. It says, in New Hampshire hills, tamed dogs turn savage at the start of spring, pursuing winter-weakened deer through the thinning snows. It is senseless and cruel pursuit, one of the many things that anger Howard Hellman. Yet Howard Hellman also feels pursued. The mill where he worked has been closed down. His wife suffers from hysterical paralysis. His daughters bring him only sorrow. His rich new neighbor is scheming to take over his farm. Even his son rejects him. His bare literacy makes it difficult for him to articulate his feelings as he tries to cope with his changing world, a world that is unfair to him. So I kind of like novels like that, with the underdog, somebody who's just overwhelmed by everything and trying to stay sane. I also have this. This is a novel by John Updike, a New York Times notable book. John Updike, Beach at Bay. I also had this, but I wasn't sure. I have all of John Updike. He's one of my favorite American writers. So I have to get rid of this one too. I found this at Goodwill, Sailing from Byzantium, How a Lost Empire Shaped the World by Colin Wells. I collect books on the Byzantine civilization empire, and it wasn't good. It wasn't underlined. It was in good shape, so I picked it up. Just a little book. I got this at Blue Stockings. I stopped there to look around, and I only found one book, Empire of Self, A Life of Gord Vidal by J. Bernays. I have another book of his that he did with, he did another book on on Gore Vidal, which I can't remember the title. I wasn't going to get it out to show you. Let me see if it's mentioned here. Selected essays of Gord Vidal, edited by him. Yeah, I have that. So now I have his. I got this for 50 cents. It's not underlined. It's in perfect condition. So I got for my Gord Vidal. Gord Vidal has always kind of fascinated me. Of course, he's passed away. He wrote a lot of historical novels, wrote book reviews, essays, political commentary. He ran for the mayor of New York along with Norman Mailer, I think, and so I can pick that up. I have other books. This is called In Siberia by Colin Thubron. I have other books by him over there. He writes travel books. He has one also called Traveling Through Russia that I have. So. And I picked this up at some thrift store in Hudsonville. This is by, I can't pronounce his name, but it was recommended by a Nederlander Gormeyer, who is a South African writer. There's a picture of him. And it looked really interesting. It was in good condition. It was only $1.50. He's written 6 other novels. Can't pronounce his name. But one thing about me, as I was thinking about my taste in books, I like biographies. And I like memoirs, but I like good fiction. I have more fiction than anything else in my library. I probably have 3,000 fiction. I like well-written literary fiction. Now, I do read postmodernism, I do read modernism, but I like a good story, I like good writing. So I'm always attracted to novels that seem to be intelligent, well-written, good prose, good stories, characters. Hey, there's a bookmarker in here. I didn't notice that. What's that bookmarker? I never noticed. Let me see that. So I'm always looking for... Oh, it's a little thing here. I use index cards, for bookmarkers. Here's my index cards down here. I use these for bookmarkers. So that's thrift store books. I have a book coming in the mail, a Christian book, New Testament theology on union with Christ in the Gospel of John coming. But these are the ones I've gotten from thrift stores and Hudsonville Library used book sale, and I haven't really started reading any of these. I just got them. From my collections, things. I do want to read. I do want to read some Gord Vidal, his historical novels. He wrote a lot of them. He wrote all kinds of historical novels, Gord Vidal, and I want to get into those someday. I've read a lot of John Updike over the years, and I like good political biographies, and especially on the 50s, 60s. Not much in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but more like up until the 50s. So, and I'm always looking for books on the atom bomb. These are different articles The Secret History of the Atom Bomb. Just looked interesting. Of course, we're always propaganda. It's a big thing that we deal with every day here in America on Fox News and the internet and PBS and all that. So yeah, I've been reading The World, A Family History of Humanity by Simon Sebag Montefiore. I'm really enjoying this. I read it before I go to bed. Kind of puts me to sleep, but I'm enjoying it. Really enjoying reading the story of Russia by Orlando Figes. Reading about the English Revolution in this book, History of Revolution. Reading about the World Revolution, Travelers, the World Revolution, the Global History of the Communist Internal by Stutter. Really enjoying reading The Radical History of the World by Neil Faulkner. But just started getting it Forbidden Book. I can't pronounce her name, but I plan to read this to the weekend until next week. And I really like his writings. Great writing, great prose. I really enjoyed reading his book on the Dainus by him. I did read another book of his, but I don't see it right now where it is. Let's see. I don't know. I must have taken it upstairs. Anyway, so I hope you had a good reading week. Have a good reading weekend. Thank you for the comments. And tell me what you're reading. Got any questions? And so I'll sign off. And until next time, bye.